message him on Twitter real quick. Hello, this is Seabass, sorry. I'm going to be commentating for Darko.
How you doing, Seabass? It's been a while.
Good. We also have Chodo in here. He's going to be joining me, but I don't know if his audio is working.
Okay, while we're getting set up, we've got a donation for $1.07 from Dr. Hell with X's on either side, like the old GameFAQs days. And he asks, what is your opinion on bananas? So anyone that wants to field that, just say how you feel about bananas.
It's okay to hate bananas.
I guess I can give a countdown. Let me ask him if he's ready. Darko, if you can hear me, I'll give you a countdown. Cool. Alright, so we'll go down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! There we go. Cool. So my name is Seabass and I'm going to be commentating for Darko here. This is LADX, Link's Awakening DX. I believe he's going to be doing save and quit, which is not the main category that most people run in this game. Most people run no save and quit because we're weird. The two other main distinctions of things Darko's not going to be doing is he's not going to do wrong warps and he's not going to do out of bounds. Wrong warps are basically using the doghouse right there. You can go in backwards and really break the game. That allows you to beat it in 4 minutes or so. I think that's what any percent uses. No out of bounds is a little bit trickier. It's a little bit more of a gray area. The programmers of this game were not very good, so there's a lot of places that you can walk into that you're not supposed to or that they didn't intend you to. I believe this run will have super jumps, which are new. We just started using those a couple months back, so that should be pretty cool. I don't know how much Darko wanted me to commentate, but I'll speak up if anything interesting is coming up. The beginning's pretty self-explanatory. So just for, I guess, just opening it up, we are running in Japanese. Japanese is faster in this game. There's a couple of little skips that you can do in Japanese only, as opposed to English, as well as the text being faster. So right now, Darko's going to be heading to the forest to pick up the key for Dungeon 1. The way he's going to do that is there's a damage boost. He's going to be doing over a pit. This is called the Moblin Skip. So what he's going to do is he's going to take his shield and bounce the Moblin so he's facing up, which will aggro him to shoot an arrow, and he'll use that arrow to damage boost over the pit. Oh. This is one of the worst parts of the run. Like, just big RNG at the beginning. There we go. So the owl is kind of one of the most annoying parts about this game. I believe save and quit skips a couple of the owl cutscenes that the main category doesn't. So we'll hopefully see him a lot less. So after he gets the key for Dungeon 1, I believe the route he's taking is he's going to go into the village to kind of do some housekeeping before heading to the dungeon. He's going to get the magic powder, which he needs for Dungeon 2. And then he's also going to go up to the shop, get the shovel, which he'll need for the Dungeon 3 key, as well as the bow and arrow, which will help him kill the mini-boss in Dungeon 1 really quickly. The game wanted you to buy the bow, which costs 980 rupees, I believe, but you can steal from the shop, so even in the no save and quit run, that is really the only, I guess, kind of save and quit you're supposed to do. That intentional death is allowed. So the way he'll do that is he'll walk in, he'll steal the shovel, because the shovel costs 200. And then once he gets past the shopkeeper, he'll come back in and die, where he'll buy bombs and then arrows. And then he'll be heading to Dungeon 1. Okay, so he's getting safety bombs. The reason being is there was some new skips that were found in this game where you can actually use bombs to trigger cutscenes as long as you have like the prerequisites for the cutscenes. So that's used to some of the bigger things in the game, like the ocarina, and getting Marin on the beach later in the run, which allows you to skip by the walrus. So you can kind of despawn that. You can also skip a cutscene to get to Dungeon 8. He'll be using that a couple times. I'll point those out when he gets to them.
Is this an okay time for a quick donation?
Yeah, Dungeon 1's pretty simple.
Alright, Dr. Hell with X's on both sides also donated with a 107 of, by the way, good luck. Also, what do you guys think about water? So, thank you for your donation again, Doctor.
So, the main thing he's going to be doing here is he has to get the feather, which allows Link to jump, which is actually one of the bigger kind of early optimizations of movement. Jumping diagonal is faster than walking diagonal, so you'll see a lot of runners cutting corners using the feather. It also allows you to jump over pits, and it's good. You can't jump upstairs like you can in the Oracle games, which is a shame. So there's a damage boost he's going to do here off of these spike traps, I think. Oh, he's playing it safe. You can bounce off of those and it'll bump you right to the chest. So there's the save and quit. This is going to change the route based on the one that I'm more familiar with, which is the no save and quit. So from here he's going to need to get the boss key, I believe. And then from there he's just going to kill the mini-boss and kill the boss. It's a pretty simple dungeon. So if you have any donations, you can go for it.
We don't have any just yet, but I will say again, if you donate $10 during this run, you will win a set of the Game Boy Color games for the Zelda series, generously donated by Drizzle. So $10, and you can win a chance to get some free games.
Yeah, so that right there is the main reason why you go back into town to get the bow before you go into the dungeon. It lets you two-shot that boss. And this is Moldorm. Pretty straightforward. Hit him with your sword, don't fall in the pit. So the goal in this game is to get these 8 instruments from the different dungeons. Once you get those, there's the egg at the top of the island called the Windfish Egg. Normally that's where you would go and take the ocarina and play a song that you learn throughout the game, and that wakes up the egg. It kind of wakes up the Windfish, which is this giant flying whale thing. But I don't believe we'll be getting the ocarina this run. I don't know if Darko is doing that route or not. So one of the bigger differences between Japanese and English is coming up here. There are two kids, once you get into the village, that are going to explain to you that Bow Wow, the chain chomp, has been stolen. In Japanese, you can skip that text, whereas in English, you have to mash through it. So again, this is pretty straightforward. The big thing here is the heart piece of shame. It's a jump up here, where he needs to jump over a pit, but not get a heart piece and then jump again. That is the shameful heart piece. If you get that, you're just bad. So he just has to clean up this cave, fight the boss, rescue the chain chomp. You'll need the chain chomp to get into dungeon 2, because there are some flowers that are blocking the dungeon, and he'll need the chain chomp to eat those to open it up. The main goal is to 2-cycle this mini-boss. If you get a spin/off on him, I believe it takes 4 and then 2. So he got the 2-cycle, which is what you want to get. Again, little optimizations from the saving and quitting. See if he does the clip here. Okay, so this is one of the newer clips that was found. If you do what's called wall clipping, which is where Link's sprite is a little bit kind of into the box next to his, it kind of overlaps a little bit. It allows his sprite to be kind of manipulated in a weird way. So on instances like that on the rocks and some of the blocks in Dungeon 3, you can actually jump at them while you're clipped, and if you hold a certain direction, you can kind of wiggle your way through without needing to, you know, open the door or open the rock or whatever. Dungeon 2 is pretty simple. This is where he's going to get the bracelet, which allows him to pick up pots. There's a pretty big skip that comes up at the end of the dungeon on the boss. I'll kind of explain that once he gets there. And if anybody has any questions in chat, I'll try and answer those. So here's another difference between save and quit and no save and quit. In the no save and quit route, you would have Piece of Power by there, which allows you to sword hit the ogre. But in save and quit, your Piece of Power counter gets reset every time you quit the game. So odds of getting that are very low by the time you get to the boss. So you have to use arrows, which still kill the boss quick. Just waste 2 arrows. Oh, that sucks. What he's trying to do here is he's trying to kill that room in a specific order. He has to kill the Pulse Voice first, then the Keese, and then the Stalfos, which makes this chest drop. If you kill him out of order, you can reset the room by just going down the little stairs that he did. We know it's the Hinox. We call it the Angry Ogre. So I guess I can start explaining the boss kill because it's kind of cool. It's going to use the wall clipping that I talked about a little earlier. The goal, or the way you're supposed to do this fight, is you're supposed to hit this bottle, which has a genie in it, and then you're supposed to pick it up with a bracelet and throw it, which cracks it a little bit. I think you have to do that twice before it actually breaks, and then you get to fight the genie. A way to skip that is to clip into that back wall, and throw it while you're clipped, and then you can kill him with bomb arrows really quickly. So he'll place a bomb down. When the text is done, it'll hit the genie, and then the bomb arrow will finish him off. So that was Dungeon 2. So Darko's going to have one more chance after this to see if he fails the Heart Piece of Shame. Another one of the differences between save and quit and no save and quit is this part here after Dungeon 2. There's a warp that you can use later. And in no save and quit, it's a kind of a long way out of the way, so it's not really worth it. But in save and quit, you can go up and get it, and then save and quit back to the Dungeon 2 exit. And that warp actually saves you time then. So Darko is going to go return Bow Wow. You can keep Bow Wow throughout the run. He doesn't come into the dungeons with you, but he can kind of help you out in the overworld. One of the reasons why you would return Bow Wow is there's a skip a little bit later on called the Rooster Skip, which is one of the bigger and trickier skips in the game, where you have to do a frame-perfect hookshot jump. And if you have Bow Wow, he can kind of block your hookshot. Your hookshot can actually clink off of Bow Wow. And if you're not expecting that, can kind of mess up your timing. So some runners opt to return Bow Wow just to make that jump a little bit easier.
Hey, can I read a donation real quick?
Yeah.
Alright, we've got a donation from our good friend McNuggies420, and he donates $10 saying, "Let the dank nugs floweth. Link to the past file name, nugs." Thank you, McNuggies. Thank you.
So I think that's the first instance of the bomb arrow in this run. In some of the versions of this game, I think it's 1.1, you can't do it, but if you push the bomb and the arrow button at the same time, you can actually shoot a bomb arrow, which is kind of cool. So what he's doing here, this is the Villa skip. I'm going to explain it after he gets it. Okay, so what he was doing there is he was jumping into that pit and waiting for the fall sound, which kind of triggers a little bit of an animation that resets Link's position. So what it does is it resets you to the bottom of that pit in terms of your XY position. So when you're standing on the bottom of the screen like that, the game has nowhere to push you. It has nowhere to put Link. So what it does is it pushes you to the next screen, and since the line that you're on, there's all these bushes in the way, it just pushes you to the next available place that you could go, which allows you to skip a huge section of the game right here where you'd have to go into the castle, get a bunch of leaves, do a bunch of side quest stuff. So that's one of the big time saves. And that's called the Villa skip. So this is Dungeon 3, this is where he'll get the Pegasus boots, which allow you to run fast. And since this is a speed run, they're pretty important, we'll be using them quite a bit. Even though the boots are fast, they're not the fastest movement in the game. Fastest movement in the game is actually using the hookshot. That allows you to go, I think, a couple faster. If anybody wants to learn this game, it's pretty easy. There's a lot of new runners that have been joining the game lately. You can go to the IRC channel, LADX, and a lot of people there will be really willing to help you out. This is the Dodongo fight, pretty straightforward. He'll drop some bombs, and then as soon as he kills one of them, you're allowed to change out of the screen. And what that'll do is the game doesn't know which Dodongo you would kill first, So what it does is it triggers both of the Dodongos to have the, more or less the drop, which is that little, the warp. So once you kill one of them, if you leave that room, the game will think that you've killed both of them. It will spawn the warp, and if the warp's there, they won't spawn. So it allows you to only have to kill one of them. The big thing about the boots, combined with a feather, lets you jump over pits that are 3 length. Here's going to be another instance of the wiggling with the wall clipping that we talked about earlier to get past that key block. Dungeon 3 boss is coming up. It's pretty straightforward. It's a giant Zol. It's a big eyeball thing. You have to hit it a couple times, which will split it apart, and then you kill both of the two halves. Yeah, chat made a good point that there's a lot of really good tutorials for this game on YouTube. A lot of people have been making new tutorials with some of the newer tricks. If you have any donations, you can go for those now.
No new donations, but I will say coming up in 2 runs is Kirby Superstar, and there is an incentive for hand cam, and right now it's at $20 out of $250. So if people want to see some really fast hand motions, get your donations in between now and Kirby Superstar starting.
So yeah, this is where the run is going to change a little bit compared to what it used to do. After Dungeon 3, normally you would go and do a bunch of little side quests to get the Ocarina. You would have to complete some of the trading minigame. But with the new bomb trigger cutscene skip type things, you can actually trigger the cutscene to make the walrus on the beach disappear, which saves you a lot of time from having to go back to the village, having to get the Ocarina at all. And it's pretty free. At the beginning it was kind of RNG, and you could soft lock if you did it wrong, but there's been a lot of different strategies that have come out in the past couple, weeks that allow you to do it pretty safely. I'll explain it when he's done with it. There we go. So what he does there is you have to drop a bomb on the exact frame that you transition screens. And the way you can line that up is if you jump at the side of the screen at the edge, it'll put Link at the very last possible position that he can stand before he'll transition. So from there you can hold a bomb and it'll drop on the first part, and then as soon as you go into the next screen, if you hold bomb, you can drop another one, which will trigger that cutscene. And he'll be using that a couple more times during the game. Since he doesn't have the Ocarina, he actually needs to use that to get into the Windfish at the very end. He'll also use that to get into Dungeon 8, because he will not get the Frog Song anymore. That is one of the bigger, newer tricks that were found in this game. They're pretty crazy. It allows you to skip a lot of time. I want to say like a good 10 minutes or so have been chopped out. We have no reason why it does that, or at least I don't. Some other people may have figured it out, but it doesn't make sense. But it basically triggers whatever that cutscene is on the next screen when you transition. So now we're going to Dungeon 4. Dungeon 4 is one of the dungeons we're going to go in, just get the item and then leave. We're actually not going to be finishing Dungeon 4. We're going to get the flippers, which will allow us to complete the rest of the game, and then we'll come back to Dungeon 4 last and finish that. The reason why you do that is when you finish Dungeon 4, there's a ghost mini quest that you have to do where you have to take them all around the island show him his old house. It's really sad, but sad is slow. We don't want to be slow. So we're gonna do Dungeon 4 last, which makes us have to, or which allows us to set whole mini quest. And that was the guy. We don't save the guy. He just sits on top of the mountain, hungry, starving. Dungeon 4 is pretty straightforward right now. There's a jump where he'll use the Pegasus boots to get across that 3 kind of cross gap. You're not supposed to be able to kind of jump around that corner, but if you time it right, you can have enough momentum to kind of tuck around it, which allows you to skip a large portion of the dungeon. It's actually a lot harder to save the guy now with the bomb skips, because before you actually had the pineapple, which was part of the trading mini quests you would give to the guy, which was the food. But now that we use the bomb skips, you don't actually get the pineapple. So the guy is just dead. If you have any donations, you can go for them.
Alrighty, we've got Excelsior donated $10, and he said shout out to Speed, and he wanted to put this towards Trip World being played during the Final Fantasy 3 credits. So if you like Final Fantasy 3, and then you also like Trip World, the runner will start playing Trip World while the credits start playing for Final Fantasy 3, and attempt to beat the credits Trip World run.
Yo, Trip World's good. That game's real good.
Fantastic game. And Slucky7 donated $20, and he didn't leave a note or anything. So Slucky, if you're here, say something in chat, and we can like put that towards incentive, KSS handcam, file names, whatever you want. Thank you guys for your donations.
Yep. So now we're going to Dungeon 5. Dungeon 5 is one of the longer dungeons in the game. A lot of people really hate this dungeon. There's a jump that you have to do where you have to jump over, I believe it's a 4 length pit where you're only supposed to be able to jump over 3. So it's a really tight jump. This is the dungeon where you get the hook shot, which is really useful in some spots. The biggest spot there is the rooster skip that comes up where you have to do you basically jump over a pit or a gap, and if you shoot your hook shot while you're in the air, the hook shot will go out and then come back towards you. And on the exact frame that the hook shot returns to Link, you can enter another set of inputs. So on that exact frame, if you hold the jump button, or if you push the jump button at the exact time, it'll allow you to jump. So you can kind of jump over holes, which we'll use, like I said, a little bit later. And if he gets Rooster Skip on the first try, I'll donate $20. So no pressure on that. This is the mini boss for Dungeon 5. It's this big giant Stalfos. The first time and the last time you have to hit him with 3 bombs. The second and third time you have to fight him, you only have to hit him with 2. So the first and last time you kind of use bomb arrows just because it's a little bit faster. You can't actually get, by placing bombs on the ground, you can't do a 3 cycle on him. You'd have to wait for, or 3 bombs in 1 cycle, you'd have to wait for him to go again. So for the first one and the last one, it's faster to just use the bomb arrows to allow you to 1 cycle. You actually get to see a little bit of the hookshot jumping later in this dungeon. It allows you to skip one of the keys to get to the boss. So you'll see that you have to jump kind of up and around a large pit to get to where the boss door is. This jump that's coming up here is the one I spoke of, where you have to do a running boots jump over a really large pit, and you only have one tile to stand on when you come into the room, though it's a really tight jump. You got it first try. Nice. These kind of armored dudes are one of the most annoying parts about this dungeon. The only way that you can hit them with your sword is if you're facing the same direction as them and hit them from behind, or if you like charge your sword one direction and then they kind of turn that way and you jump back into them. And you have to clear that room a couple times during the run. Once you get the hookshot, it's a little easier. The hookshot takes the mask off of them so that you can just hit them again and they die right away. You're good for donations now. He's just going to be running up to the boss.
Alright, we've got $25 from the one and only Ramses88, and his comment was Trip World, so clearly he wants to see KSS Handcam. But no, I put it towards Trip World during FF3. And again, if you want to donate $10 during this run, you can win a copy of Link's Awakening DX, as well as the Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons games, all for the Game Boy Color in Japanese. And that's $10 for 3 games. It's a pretty good deal, if I say so myself.
Yeah, you guys gotta get that money in for Trip World. It's one of the best Game Boy games other than Link's Awakening. So, you just saw it there, the hookshot jump. That was actually really, really well done. So this is Wall Snake. Wall Snake is kind of a butt. He's one of the bigger RNGs in the run. You have to hit him, or I believe it's 2 cycles. And that's good RNG. Let's see if he gets the second one. So Wall Snake can come out of one of these 4 holes. That's actually not that bad. He only missed the one. Sometimes Wall Snake will just always go to the other side that you're on, and it just wastes a ton of time.
Have you guys found a way of manipulating it all yet?
No. I don't know if there's any way to manipulate the RNG in this game. We tried a bit back before we found a way to do the bomb triggering of the walrus skip. There was something found by Tampa, which allowed you to sprite overflow using bombs and arrows, and then when you would transition scenes, the walrus, you know, wouldn't show up there, but the bomb trick we use now is a lot easier, a lot more consistent, and doesn't really rely on the RNG. That was used a little bit more, or rather RNG was cared about more during that part, because part of that trick was that you had to dig in the ground in the room before the walrus. I believe you had to get 3 item drops. So if there was a way to manipulate that, that would have been really nice.
So you're not going to spend the 100 seconds on the boss, it's just like finding other giant time savers instead.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, the RNG that you've needed in this run has gone down over time. In Dungeon 6, the one that's coming up now, there used to be a section where you had these 2 horse heads that you had to throw, and you had to get them both to land upright, which was just pure RNG. That took a long time. Also, the boss fight at the end, there's RNG on the negative fight. You need to hit him 4 times. with these glowing balls. The first 2 are guaranteed, but every time after that it's just purely random. So this is the Armos Knight maze. Pretty straightforward. He just uses wall clipping to go through really quickly. And you spin slash this giant boss, get the key for Dungeon 6, and then you run back. The wall clipping allows him to get around some of the Armoses that you're really not supposed to get through, which allows you to go pretty quickly through if you know the right pattern and the correct route. So that's a nice little, not really a damage boost that he did right there on that last Armos. The Armos actually do a lot of damage, but that one in particular, if you knock into him, which starts his spawning activation animation, there's a Zol that pops up there that you can actually get to damage you, and if you're damaged from the Zol, you won't get hurt from the Armos, which allows you to just walk right through him. So, any donations? He's just getting to Dungeon 6.
Let me check. No donations, but I guess we can say real quick, JRTA Marathon, we're raising money for 2 runners to get to AGDQ 2016 that are from Japan. We've got Bacord playing Gimmick, and maybe Wario Land 3, and Ohan playing Mega Man 6 and Castlevania 3, and maybe Mega Man 5, and I believe we need $4,500, and we are doing pretty good for how long we've been up for not quite $900, so thank you all for your generous donations so far.
Yeah, one of those runners, I believe it's Backcourt, actually has run this game before, so he runs a ton of games. So the beginning of Dungeon 6 is kind of boring. You're just kind of going to get the level 2 bracelet, which allows you to pick up these elephant head statues and heavier things that you'll see. After that, it changes a little bit compared to the way that the run used to work. We're going to be using wall clipping and super jumps to skip a large part of the dungeon. There used to be another Dodongos fight that you had to do, just like the one in Dungeon 2, but you couldn't cheese it like you did in Dungeon 2. You actually had to kill both of them. But by doing the new route, you get to just completely bypass that. So I'll take this time to explain super jumps really quick, since that's the bigger trick that's coming up. The way that we think it works is, if you look at the way that the dungeon tile sets work, the underground segments and kind of the ones that you have in the dungeons, they use the same tile for the ceiling as they did for kind of like the ones that you're supposed to stand on, kind of like that one there on his left. So we think, because of the clipping, you can jump up in the air and trick the game into thinking that you're jumping off of that platform instead of, you know, just jumping from the ground where you are, which allows you to kind of catapult a little bit. So from here, he's going to go do the dog boss fight thing, where he has to pick up a large orb thing and throw it at this mini boss a couple times. It's a pretty simple, straightforward fight. And one of the little things with that mini boss, you can actually manipulate the way he moves by the way that you face. So if you're like facing backwards, I think he runs at you. So here comes the boss, which is actually pretty simple. Facade is the Dungeon 6 boss, where you just drop bombs on his face. You can actually drop bombs before he spawns, as soon as you get in the room, which speeds the fight up a lot. You can get 3 off before he actually pops up his text box. And then you only need 2 more after that, for a total of 5. Any donations? Because Rooster Skip is coming up, so I'll try and explain that, but up until then we're probably good.
Nah, there's nothing, but you can feel free to talk as long as you want, man. You're doing a good job on commentary.
I try. So, I guess I'll start talking about Rooster Skip, since it's kind of cool. If you weren't here earlier when we got the hookshot in Dungeon 5, there's a trick that you can do on the last frame that the hookshot returns to Link. Regardless of where you're standing, you can do another input. So we're going to use that to jump across a really weird pit to get a key to get into Dungeon 7. The way that the game normally wants you to do this is a big whole kind of side quest where you have to go get the ocarina, you have to go into kind of a puzzle and go and get this song from a frog who teaches you how to wake up the dead, which allows you to wake up a dead rooster, which then can fly over the pit. But we don't need that. We can skip the rooster. I'm gonna also encourage anybody else in chat to follow me if Darko gets first try Rooster Skip. 20 bucks. Donate to whatever you want. I believe Darko will be doing it bufferless. There's a buffered way that you can use, I believe it's either the pause or the map button to buffer it. But that takes a little bit longer. Of course, the fastest way is to not do it. But it's a little bit safer. Another part of this is the bow wow that you would normally have in the run. Really can mess you up. One of the nice things about save and quit is he can save and quit here at the beginning of this cave, so if he does mess up, he doesn't have to run all the way back. Almost. So he got the first part of the skip, but the second part, he messed up. Or didn't get it. It's real tricky. Oh! Oh no! He had it! There we go. Third try is not bad. I'll donate $5 for third try. So now we just get to run up to Dungeon 8. There's a couple little skips that we're going to be doing here. The first one that you'll see is the flame skip. There's a kind of a cannon that shoots out fire, and you're supposed to use the mirror shield that you would get in Dungeon 7 to push the fire back. But if you use the wall clipping that you use throughout the run, you can actually clip into it, and even if you take damage, you can still run past it. So he'll be doing that, and then from there he'll do another one of the bomb triggers to trigger the Dungeon 8 opening cutscene where there's a kind of a big turtle head, and that turtle will try and fight you, but the programmers forgot to put a hitbox on the turtle when he's spawning, so you can actually walk right through him and go right into the dungeon without having to fight him. There we go. So Dungeon 8 is a lot faster than it used to be. A lot of the super jumps break Dungeon 8 wide open. They cut out large portions of this dungeon. This is a nice little example of the sideways block pushing. Some runners do super jumps over that, but you can also do the old way of clipping into those blocks, and then if you push it from the exact middle, it'll actually push it to the side. This is another instance of that. So one of the bigger differences between the old route and the new one is you actually have to get those arrows, I believe. Before, when you had the ocarina, you could kill the boss a little bit quicker by using a certain trick, but since we don't have that ocarina anymore, you have to fight the boss the way it was intended, which is shooting arrows at him. You can also kill him with the boomerang, but we're not going to be getting that. So here's Blano, one of the cool dudes that also shows up in the Oracle games. Pretty easy mini-boss. So the Dungeon 8 item is the Fire Rod. The reason why you go to Dungeon 8 before Dungeon 7 is the Fire Rod actually helps you kill the Dungeon 7 boss a lot faster. If you have any donations, now's a good time to read them before the next part.
Alright, Chip Whitley donated $5, and he said we'll donate more $signs for chest turns. So thank you for your donation, Chip.
I believe he did do a chest turn there. I missed it, but chat went nuts over it, so we'll hold you to that. Chest turns are, I believe, the exact frame that you open a chest. You can do one more set of inputs, so you can actually turn. It only saves time if you do it right. If you don't, it wastes time. Like most swag. So here's another instance of the super jumping kind of mixed with the glitch that you used for the Villa skip. By jumping in the lava, it lets you reset your position kind of into the wall, which allows you to have a clipped position. From there you can trigger the super jumps as if you had walked into the wall from kind of at an angle, or from the side rather. Dungeon 8 mini-boss, or Dungeon 8 boss is really easy. You just hit him with fire a bunch. So I'm going to challenge everybody in the chat right now, donate at least $1. It's a little bit, It's not much, but it adds up quick. So while we're waiting here to go to the next dungeon, which is Dungeon 7, get your checkbooks out. I see a ton of LADX runners in the chat right now. One of the Japanese runners used to run this game, so show your support. If I had to suggest anything to donate towards, it would be Trip World. That game is mad cool.
Yeah, Trip World's cool. There's also Handcam for KSS, file name for Blastcore, Bags of Cash in streamers, and also the Superb Joe mode as well. Lots of cool stuff to put your money towards.
So yeah, the reason why you guys are donating money, or why we're asking for money, and the reason why we're doing this, is to raise money to get 2 of the Japanese runners to AGDQ. I don't know how many we got last year, but I know that there were a couple there last year, which was really cool.
I believe it was 3 last year. Yeah, I can fill it out a little bit more. We're collecting money for Bacord and Ohan, trying to get them to AGDQ 2016 all the way from Japan. At least I'm just gonna assume they're both in Japan. Bacord is gonna be running Gimmick and possibly Wario Land 3, and Ohan has Mega Man 6 and Castlevania 3, and also is waitlisted for Mega Man 5. So they've got some good runs, and it'd be really cool to be able to get them to the marathon and let them hang out with a bunch of cool speedrunners for a while and help out and stuff.
Yeah, Gimmick. Gimmick is one of those hard games, very similar to Trip World. It looks really, really easy, but it's not. Like, trying to do it fast is super, super hard. Like, Trip World looks very simple, but it's not.
Trip World is impossible to play fast.
Mm-hmm.
But Gimmick is even more so impossible. They're both made by Sunsoft, so they're 2 amazing, fantastic games from a great company.
So, this is Dungeon 7. The gimmick in Dungeon 7 is there are these 4 pillars that hold the top level up. You have to take this big giant metal ball and throw it into the pillars, which knocks them down, which is totally not safe. I don't recommend anyone doing that. But once you do that, the top level falls down and you can actually walk up to the door where the boss is, which is the Angry Eagle. Again, one of the nice things about that boss is we did Dungeon 8 before going here to Dungeon 7, so we have the Fire Rod, and the Fire Rod kills him pretty quickly. So here's another super jump, and then another one of the bomb triggers to cancel out the last pillar. There we go. Before that was found, the way you had to do that is you would use another one of the hookshot jumps, similar to Brewster Skip. You would go to the room below this one and jump over a pit. You also had to have the ball there too, so you had to throw the ball over and hookshot jump over that pit. It was really annoying. I don't know if Darko's going to be going for it. I think he is. The boss key skip in Dungeon 7 here. He's going to be using another super jump to jump up on top of these little platforms. And he got it. By walking up there, it allows you to skip the boss key door, which saves you a mini-boss fight.
We got a $4.20 donation from Bass Guitar Bill. LADX is blowing my poor little old mind right now. Put this towards Handcam, so thank you, Bass Guitar Bill. And then again, KSS is 2 games from now, and we've got a Handcam incentive that needs $250, and we are at $44.20, so it needs not quite 200, or a little bit over $200 to reach that goal. So if you guys want to donate and see a hand cam along with, you know, all that plasma and other cool Kirby tech that I don't know, you can donate for that.
I believe that is bass guitar bill, like the guitar.
Oh yeah, you know, that would make sense because it's a guitar. I'm sorry, bass.
People mess that up for me. They call me OC bass instead of bass.
A bass guitar bill, a fool is reading donations. It's not Supreme.
I believe there's a fish guitar in Majora's Mask, right?
Yeah, it's a dead fish.
Yeah. So now that we're done Dungeon 7, we get to go back to Dungeon 4, which is the last one. There's another super jump coming up here, which allows you to skip another one of the RNG sections of the game. There's a room with 5 little tiles that had one of 4 patterns to it. You had to jump on them in the correct order. But since we can super jump now, we just get to skip right past that, so that saves a little bit of time. Other than that, Dungeon 4 is pretty simple. You can just bomb arrow the boss. Takes a couple hits and he's dead. Most of the bosses in this game are quite easy. Nice, you got that first try. So that's one of the weirder super jumps, where you combine the up in the air kind of catapult that the super jump gives you with the ability to hit your sword against things and kind of knock back off of them. So you wait for the P-hat to kind of go up into the air, you super jump towards him, and then you use your sword to hit the P-hat and it actually kind of turns you in a different direction, which allows you to kind of super jump in an L as opposed to the normal straight line. So that's Dungeon 4. Super quick. Dungeon 4 is easy. Maybe easier than Dungeon 1. Because Moldorm is actually a harder fight than the Dungeon 4 boss. If you have any donations, you can go for them now. He's just going to be heading up towards the final boss area.
No new donations, but I will say, even if you can't donate, you can still help us out. You know, mention us to your friends, blast our Twitch account on Twitter. You can host us on Twitch if you're not streaming this weekend. So like, don't feel pressure that you can't help just because you know you can't donate. Like even just watching, you know, that helps out. So thank you for watching.
Yeah, I'm gonna thank Darko real quick for letting me commentate. I love this game. There's a lot of really cool tricks that have been found, and without explanation, some of them are just, it's pure magic. So it's cool that we actually have a lot of cool tricks throughout the run that kind of diversify it. It keeps it interesting. This is going to be one more bomb trigger that he'll use to open the egg instead of having to play one of the songs on the ocarina. It's funny, because in the cutscene, Link actually has the ocarina, because the sprite is kind of locked in with it, even though you don't have the ocarina in your inventory. I'll start explaining the final boss, since there's a couple parts to it. He's just going to run through a maze to get there. From there, there's going to be a blob part of the boss that you can kill with the magic powder, or if you stand on the right pixel, you can actually kill him with your sword. From there comes the RNG part that I kind of spoke about earlier on in the run, where you have to hit the boss 4 times with energy balls, kind of like in Link to the Past. The first 2 times are guaranteed to be ones that you can hit back at him. After that, it's a 50-50 shot of being an energy ball that you can hit back, or one that just damages you. So, after that, there's a Moldorm version of the boss that he just gets to kill really quick. Then one that you just run into a couple times with your sword. And then there's the super RNG portion, which is the eyeball one, where you have to shoot him in the eye with a bunch of arrows. He got the bomb skip there. If you mash bombs while you're falling into the pit, you can actually skip the text box at the beginning there. You got the bad pattern. The good pattern here is being able to kill the blob in one powder go without having him spawn. I don't know if it's possible to get over that pit in the first room. I don't think it is. The way that the pits work in this game is they push you down. So that's why Villa Skip works, is because you go down, but being able to go up with a pit is not something that is possible, or so we think. Because if you could jump up with those skips, there'd be a way in, I believe, Dungeon 7 to just completely skip like the whole dungeon. And he won't need the boomerang for the final boss because you can also kill him with arrows. I believe it takes 16 arrows. Yes, the text skip does disable the music. So when you fall in, if you get that text skip, you have to get the creepy, eerie silence boss fight. So time will be coming up at the end. There's going to be a staircase that spawns. When he walks up the staircase and the screen goes completely white, that's when time is. I'll let you know. There we go. So time will be coming up really soon. And time. What did he get? Hour 37 seconds? Like a 1 hour 37 seconds or so, from what it looks like.
1 hour 37. Though I think JRTA timing or RTA timing for Japan is after text box is done, right?
Yeah, the JRTA timing is a lot different. I believe they do the name entry at the beginning as well on the file select screen, and they go until you can no longer mash this text here. But the way that kind of the rest of us have been doing the timing, it's when you can no longer die. The way you used to do that fight, you could potentially die on those stairs, which means you'd have to do the fight over again. So once the screen kind of fades to white, you know that you're safe. So that's where we've kind of decided it would end.
Yeah, dude, watching people die going up the stairs is like my favorite part of LADX for a while.
Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen as much. But I think in any percent, that's like one of the really big risks. So, good run. Again, if anybody wants to learn this game, you can check us out on the IRC Speedruns Live at #LADX. We have a Skype group, we have a Discord and stuff. A lot of the people in any one of those places will be really happy to help. There's also a lot of really good YouTube content. So just do a little bit of looking and you can find it.
Yeah, thank you for the commentary. It's really enjoyable.
Thank you guys for having me. And thank you, Darko, for the run.
Yeah, it's a really good run as well. So up next we're going to have Kirby's Dream Land 2. It's going to be a race between Sunkir and Suzuri.